The Ethan Man. Ethan, Ethan, Luke the watchman yells. What is it? Ethan growls in reply. Someone challenges you. Let us fight in the M-Crack arena. No one ever defeats me, Ethan answers in irritation and walks to the arena. The crowd cheers wildly for Ethan, but then the man comes out, his brother, Addon the Knight. Ethan, amazed that Addon still fights, replies, So we meet again in the 36th game, not to mention that you lost all 35. Addon quickly replies, I will win this time. Ethan flares his nostrils, then responds as his hair waves back in a taunting fashion. Tell me about it. Then the match begins. Ethan doesn't know that Addon has cheated this battle. He weakened the Ethan Man's materials to win. Ethan immediately swings his sword. While swinging, the blade comes right off and flies straight into the side of the arena. How? Ethan questioned worriedly. I guess I win, Addon answers confidently as he puts his sword in front of Ethan and yells, I have finally defeated him. Then the crowd cheers around them, making Addon proud. Then a man comes out of a door into the walls of the arena and says, It may look not as it seems, but Addon has cheated, and he is further banished to the Forest of Sorrow. Addon was mad that his trick hadn't deceived anyone, but the crowds wanted him dead. Chapter 2. Banishment. Every villain has been banished to the Forests of Sorrow. Addon has fear in his eyes as he looks down at the waterfall, leading to the Forests of Sorrow. There is only one safe way down, to be thrown off the cliff, down into the pool of water below. Crowds behind Addon hiss and jeer at him. They stand behind him, waiting for him to be launched into the sea, because no one likes the swindler. Ethan examines the punishment from the towers of his castle, wondering if this retribution was best suited for him. Then a man in the crowds shouts, Push him already! What are you waiting for? Armageddon? They then launched Addon into the seas below. Crowds then surround the edge of the cliff, looking down below to see if he was killed by the fall. Bah! He's not dead. There's only a scratch on him. The group looks down in disappointment. Although this was a felicitous punishment, the crowd still wanted to see Addon killed for his felony. Ethan shakes his head in disappointment, wondering why Addon doesn't just get good at fighting. Addon swam towards the shore of the pool so he didn't get sucked into the current of the river. He lied there for a while. Then he headed into the forest. After a bit of walking, he encountered a hut that looked inhabited. He walked in. Then a man in rag cloth said, Addon? Long time no see. What did you do to end up down here? Matt, I thought you were dead? Oh no, I may have looked like it at first, but I only lost my arm. But tell me about yourself. How did you end up here? What crime did you commit for a young lad like yourself to get thrown down here? Well, it's a long story. Oh good, you can sit down right here and tell me the whole thing, Matthew insisted as he wiped the dust off a rock. I don't get much visitors, so that seat is usually empty. Addon then discussed the story with Matthew, who had been in exile for a long time. So you said you don't get much visitors. What visitors do you get? Ah, yes. There's that one fellow Edmund who stops by to take my food. Then there's Jeff Fugitive, although he hasn't been stopping by after I told him about the way to escape. And what's that? What's what? The way to escape. Well, I've only told Jeff about the way to escape, and I've never seen him again, so I cannot guarantee your safety, Matt informs. What is the way to escape? Addon questions. The way to escape is a way that is not easy for a fellow like me. You see, I do not have a very good balance, and the river is treacherous, so I've never tried to use the canoe to escape. I gave away my only one to Jeff Fugitive, who gave me, in turn, some helpful items, so you will have to make one or find one as I did. Find one? Where? There is a treacherous waterfall not far from here if you head east. As Matt hands Aiden the compass, he says, "Here, I'll give you this compass. That way you won't get lost out there in the sad woods, or whatever they call it these days." "Well, thank you, Matt, for letting me rest up here and for the compass." "That's why I'm here." "Well, I'll be on my way now," Aiden stated as he walked into the woods, not knowing what was ahead of him. Chapter 3. The Visitor. "Ethan, Ethan!" Luke the watchman yells. "What is it this time?" Ethan growls in reply. "Your cousin Grant from the north has come to visit you." "Alrighty." Ethan's face immediately turns from disgust to that of grace. "Well, tell him to come inside." "I will gladly do so," Luke replies with joy as he runs outside to tell Grant to come in. Grant walks in and then the butler greets him and asks, "Would you like me to hang up your coat?" Grant replies, "That won't be necessary." "Very well then. Ethan is awaiting your presence at the top of the tower." Grant nods and then walks up towards the tower. Ethan asks, "Grant, what brings you to my kingdom? How is your tribe? I didn't know you were coming this early for a visit." "Not well. I wish we were meeting under better terms. The Bunions, who call themselves Pegazians, are demanding resources from my tribe." Then an old maid who is cleaning at the tower interrupts and says, "Oh, my grandma had really bad bunions." Yeah. As I was saying, they are demanding resources from us, but we aren't well established. I thought you might be able to help me. Grant stops talking as an arrow almost hits Ethan, but he dodges it as it hits the side of the open tower. "Get down to the lower quadrants. I'll handle this myself," Ethan says as he grabs the sword and shield on the nearby armor stand. Another arrow hits Ethan's shield, but he runs to the mercenary and pulls him in and throws him on the ground. Ethan points his sword at the mercenary. Grant comes back up as Ethan says, "I told you I'll handle this myself." Then he turns to the mercenary and warns him, "You'll pay for your crimes." The mercenary takes off his mask to reveal the face of Jeff Fugitive. "I already have," Jeff says as he rolls out of the way, dodging the blade as Ethan slices the ground. Jeff then grabs the top ledge of the tower and pulls himself up. "Give up, Ethan. I have the high ground," Jeff declares. Grant looks up as if calculating how high the tower is and then jumps 10 feet to land on the top of the tower. Then someone on the ground admiringly says, "That boy continues to amaze me." Jeff and Grant exchange blows as Ethan tries to pull himself up. Jeff continues to strike Grant's sword so fast that Grant is not able to strike back. Then Ethan strikes Jeff's sword so hard it slips out of his grasp. Jeff then jumps and soars off the tower with homemade wings that are attached to his arms. Grant then uses a bow to shoot an arrow at the wing, causing Jeff to fall onto a roof. "I can end him right now," Grant informs as he points his arrow at him. "Don't. This will show him that we aren't merciless killers," Ethan replies. They both then head back under the roof. "Now, as I was saying, the Pegazians are demanding too much from my tribe, and I fear they will attack my tribe." "Well, I heard enough. I will send Aristotle and his team to protect you," Ethan reassures. "Thank you. Hopefully Tolu and his men have protected my tribe from any attacks that might have happened." "Yes, hopefully he has." Chapter 4. Unworthy Encounters. As Aiden walked closer to his destination, the sounds of yelling and battle grew louder and more imminent. He made sure to keep an eye out as he got closer to the ghastly waterfall. Then he saw it, a boat. Although it was mostly destroyed, there were many smaller lifeboats near it. However, there was a battle going on for the goods within it. If only there was some way of getting near it. "Get down," Ryder says as he pushes Aiden to the ground and shoots a rivaling group with his bow and arrow. "Ryder?" "Yeah, no time to explain. Do you have a weapon?" "No, I'm afraid not." "Well, here, use mine, and if we get out of here alive, we can split the loot," Ryder says as he hands Aiden a bow and some arrows. "I'm not here for the loot. I'm just here to get a boat." "A boat?" Why are you here to get a boat? Yeah, that's a long story. Well, it's certainly not the time for it. Ryder informs as he shoots another member of one of the rivaling groups with his bow. Alright, we need to get the... Ryder tries to command Addon, but is taken by surprise by one of the groups, who grab him and hold a knife over his neck. Drop your weapons, they say in a mocking fashion. I'm just here for a boat, Addon says as he drops his weapon and puts his hands in the air. Well, you certainly picked the wrong time for that, Jeff Fugitive says as he stands forward. If you both help us take down those other groups and those Pegazians, and we win, then we shall give you a portion of the reward. A portion? I wanted all that loot. It's better than dying, Raham Ducktack says as he points his sword at Ryder. Touché, I'll take that trade, Ryder says in agreement. Sounds good, as long as I get my boat. You'll get your boat, but we need to devise a plan, so you and Ryder get a safe distance away, Raham commands. Why? Addon questions. Why? Because I said so, Raham yells angrily as Addon gets a safe distance away. I'm starting to not like these guys, Addon whispers to Ryder. Yeah, I think I overheard them saying their next plan was to put us into slavery, Ryder whispers in response. Well, then we better leave then, Addon whispers just before Raham walks in and says, So, you ready to raid? I was born ready, Ryder responds. Great, we're going to split into two groups. You'll be with two of my trusty men, and you'll take out that Shazy regiment group, while we take on the Pegazians. Sound good? Raham questions as Ryder and Addon both nod. Good, Raham says as they group up. When Addon and Ryder are a distance away from the group, they push one of Raham's men into the waters and tell the other, Drop your weapon, Addon commands. What are you doing? Raham's archer says as he drops his bow. Escaping before you put us into slavery, Ryder responds. I see, he says as he pulls out his sword from his back and strikes Ryder's sword, making him tumble into the sea as he strikes Addon's. The look on his face was almost as fierce as a blow from his sword. It's a shame you found out our plan. You would have made great slaves, Raham's archer says as he tries to strike Addon, but Addon blocks it. It's a shame you won't be alive to tell it, Addon audaciously says as Ryder shoots the archer in the back. Get in the boat, Ryder demands. Where are we heading? Addon asks. Out of this battlefield, Ryder informs as he tosses Addon a paddle, and they both dodge arrows and row out deeper into the Forest of Sorrow, with only the river to guide them. Chapter 5, Rival Nation. As you can see, Ethan, once we advance our troops forward into the Maher-Shalahashbaz sector, we will gain both the spoils and the strategic location. Mr. Barnold strategizes as the door busts open. Ethan! Luke says his name in a way that inflicts Ethan with worry. What? Ethan says with a hint of panic. Aristotle got there too late. Grant's tribe was attacked by Pegazians, who killed some of his tribe and injured even more, Luke informs. Ethan sighs as his hand touches his face. Ethan thinks, if only he was there. Enough of this strategizing. Your politics bore me. I need to be out there in the battlefield. I can't let those deaths be for nothing. But who will give the orders when you are in the battlefield? Mr. Barnold questions with almost a whiny tone to his voice. We have plenty of wise ones ready, but if you need someone to finalize your decisions, then get Kurt. Didn't he retire? He'll understand. Forward! Ethan yells to his army as he takes over the Maher-Shalahashbaz sector. Send a portion of these goods to Grant's tribe and free those slaves over there, Ethan commands. Right away, sir, Aristotle says as he starts walking away. And Aristotle, Ethan says as Aristotle turns back, next time be more urgent in your assistance. Part 2. As Addon and Ryder rode away, their path continued to get more and more unclear, as if they were a bucket of water and someone was slowly throwing more and more handfuls of mud in. We should stop, Ryder insists as he looks at his blisters. Yeah, it's getting dark. Doesn't look like there's going to be any shelter anytime soon. As Aiden and Ryder see a village in the distance, Ryder says, "Finally! Whoa, keep it down. This might be a Pagazian settlement," Aiden warns. "Yeah, I think I might have stolen from them once," Ryder responds as they bring the canoe to shore as quietly as they can. But it wasn't exactly a stealth canoe. "You think?" Aiden questions. "What? I don't keep track." Aiden responds, "Yeah, I guess that's the life of a shyster," as they reach the village by foot. As Aiden and Ryder peer in on the village through the woods, they see there's an abundance of food and supplies, but also a quaint number of guards. "Let's take that wagon over there. I'll get the front and you see if there's anyone in back," Ryder suggests. "Just take it?" Aiden questions. "That's the life of a shyster," Ryder whispers smugly as Aiden rolls his eyes. When Aiden opens the door, he notices someone inside. Without thinking, almost in an immediate reflex, he knocks the person out. Afterwards, he realizes that it's his old friend Daniel. Then someone opens the door. "You idiot," Grayson says. "Don't move a muscle," a Pagazian guard insists as he pokes the back of Aiden with his golden sword. "Don't worry, he's not a true mercenary, Koa." "And what about him?" Koa questions as he points his sword at Ryder. "Ryder?" Grayson questions with a vengeance. To be continued.